Today, I want to talk about Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster's been in the news recently because their tickets for the new Taylor Swift tour are through the roof. They're having website problems on top of that, and the who's who of politicians like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they're leading the charge on calling Ticketmaster a big, scary monopoly. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Twitter saying, daily reminder that Ticketmaster is a monopoly. Its merger with Live Nation should never have been approved, and they need to be reined in, saying, break them up.
Blow it out your ass.
Speaking of the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger and all this talk about antitrust and how we need more competition, I found out when reading into this, I found an article from the New York Times back in 2010 when this merger happened, written by Ben Cesario. And I read that Ticketmaster and Live Nation, when they merged, they were forced to help out their competitors. Article says, to preserve competition, the settlement calls for Ticketmaster to sell Pacoilon, a ticketing company it bought 3 years ago, to Comcast or another firm. It must also license its ticketing software to the Antitrust Entertainment Group, whose concert division, AEG Live, is Live Nation's biggest competitor. And to my knowledge, Live Nation, most of their business is organizing live events like concerts. That's where much of their revenue, from what I can tell, that's where much of the revenue comes from. Article also mentions how AEG's president and chief executive said in a statement that the company would sell tickets for its own concerts as well as those produced by other companies. So already, when this merger happened, they were forced to help out their own competitors. And yeah, AEG, they also own AXS, which is another major ticket distributor that I've used over the years. But it's not just AOC. We also have Ilhan Omar saying to break up Ticketmaster after retweeting a more perfect union, who said that Ticketmaster's scam fees now cost as much as 78% of a ticket. The company controls the events, the venues, even the artists, and it's destroying live music. Today, Joe Biden announced that he will crack down on outrageous processing fees like the ones on concert tickets. We also have other members in Congress like David Cicilline saying Ticketmaster's excessive wait times and fees are completely unacceptable, as seen today with Taylor Swift's tickets, and are a symptom of a larger problem. It's no secret that Live Nation Ticketmaster is an unchecked monopoly. Yeah, and other members of Congress like Bill Pascrell, it's talking about how they were hearing about the Ticketmaster site crashes, saying you'd think all these service and convenience fees would go to a working website. We have senators like Senator Blumenthal and Klobuchar and Markey saying that they're going to lead investigations and see if there's any antitrust to pursue here. It's also on Klobuchar's website. According to the New York Times, the Justice Department is already investigating Ticketmaster and Live Nation for any wrongdoing. So I guess a ticket to a Taylor Swift concert sounds like it's going to be the next who's who of human rights, according to these socialist charlatans. And I think it's worth reminding when it comes to antitrust, all of the insane double standards that come with antitrust. Recall that the first notable target of antitrust that we all learn about in grade school is J.D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil, which was broken up after decades of attracting customers by lowering oil prices. You see, lowering prices gave Standard Oil too much market share by some arbitrary standard, so it had to be broken up. In the 1990s, we saw that Microsoft was targeted with antitrust after giving away free internet browsing software as part of their Windows 95 packages, whereas before customers had to spend upwards of $50 on internet browsing software like Netscape Navigator. Walmart, for decades, has been accused of being a big, scary monopoly for predatory pricing. You see, in those cases, like Walmart, Microsoft, Standard Oil, prices were too low, so the company needed to be broken up. I guess in the case of Ticketmaster and Live Nation, prices are too high, so the company needs to be broken up. And if prices between competitors are roughly the same, if they're too close, well, a lot of politicians will say, well, there must be some collusion going on between these competitors, so we need antitrust. Funny how antitrust works. And I want to be clear, I don't say all of this stuff because I'm a fanboy of Ticketmaster or whatever. Ticketmaster does have a history of lobbying politicians to keep competitors like StubHub out of the market. I, too, find a lot of these fees frustrating. Like last year when I went to see Tom Brady play the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium, I remember being incredibly frustrated when I was checking out and I found out that I had to pay another $100 in fees on top of my already high-priced ticket, although I was using SeatGeek and not Ticketmaster, so I'm not even sure you can blame this on the allegedly big scary monopoly that is Ticketmaster. So again, I don't say this because I love Ticketmaster or the state of the ticketing industry or Live Nation. I just don't think that that antitrust is the answer. Antitrust is never the answer. In fact, if anything needs to be broken up these days, it's fucking antitrust laws.
You're goddamn right.
And if there's any monopoly involved with expensive tickets, particularly with concerts, it's people like Taylor Swift. And I remember seeing similar complaints over ticket prices with My Chemical Romance and Blink-182. I think there's just a ton of demand and limited supply. This is even according to sources like CNBC and Forbes. This was an article written just the other day by Sarah Whitten titled Ticketmaster's largest shareholder blames massive demand, including from bots, for Taylor Swift ticket fiasco. The article says that Live Nation is sympathetic to fans who could not get tickets, Greg Maffei said on CNBC's Squawk on the Street Thursday. It's a function of Taylor Swift. The site was supposed to be open for 1.5 million verified Taylor Swift fans. We had 14 million people hit the site, including bots, which are not supposed to be there. Maffei said that Ticketmaster sold more than 2 million tickets on Tuesday, and demand for Swift could have filled 900 stadiums. And I've seen similar numbers reported in articles on Forbes and other sources. So the Taylor Swift sale on Ticketmaster saw 14 million visitors trying to buy roughly 2 million tickets. Again, this is a lot of demand for very little supply. Unfortunately, in a case like this, you cannot open up a Taylor Swift factory to churn out more Taylor Swifts to meet demand. There's only one Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift just happens to have a monopoly over being Taylor Swift. And I don't think that breaking up Taylor Swift is the solution because, well, then she would probably die, folks. And then nobody would be going to a Taylor Swift concert. And I think even if you threw Taylor Swift's intellectual property rights into the garbage, if you sent her music to the public domain, allowing copycats and cover bands to play her music live at concerts, I think even then most Taylor Swift fans, or Swifties as I've seen them be referred to, they want the real deal. I don't think that Taylor Swift fans would want to pay $70 to $100 or more to watch a cover band instead of the real deal. And I'm over here wondering how a breakup of Ticketmaster and Live Nation would even work. From what I can tell, at least according to data from sites like Macro Trends, this is the Live Nation's net income over the last 13 years. As you can see with the middle graph, Live Nation is not a very profitable company, if at all. Some years they do lose money. And you can clearly see that Live Nation took a beating during the pandemic years. And now people want to take away a major source of revenue for the company. And who are they going to sell Ticketmaster to is what I'm wondering. Who are they going to sell Ticketmaster to if they're broken up? And don't tell me they're going to sell it to a big tech company like Google or a major media company like, say, Comcast or CBS, because then you'd still get the who's who of monopoly alarmists getting bent out of shape, calling for antitrust, in which case we'd be back at square one. So who's Live Nation going to sell Ticketmaster to? Are they going to sell it to a billionaire like Elon Musk? I don't think a lot of these people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would be on board with that. They're not crazy about Musk buying Twitter. Why would they be crazy about Musk or another billionaire buying Ticketmaster? Maybe they could sell it to a large bank. And I would ask, how do we know that the new owner of Ticketmaster will bring down ticket prices for high-demand entertainment like Taylor Swift? Or maybe the idea is to force Live Nation to use third-party ticket distributors on their events rather than use Ticketmaster to distribute tickets for their own concert. You know, just light their investment on fire, because I guess a ticket to a Taylor Swift concert is now a human right. You know who else sells their own tickets is Disneyland. And for those who don't know, ticket prices for Disneyland have gone nowhere but up over the years, largely due to high demand for the theme parks. And does anyone think that forcing Disney to sell their ticketing operations for Disneyland to, say, a third party, does anyone think that would bring Disneyland ticket prices down? I'm going to go ahead and guess. Yeah, to the no, yeah, to the no, to the no, no, no. And bringing it back to Taylor Swift, when you have 14 million people clamoring for 2 million different tickets, I do not think that the problem would be solved by forcing Live Nation to use third-party ticket distributors or to force Live Nation to sell Ticketmaster. I guess you could also try to have multiple ticket distributors maybe sell off different sections of the same arena or the same stadium or the same venue for the same Taylor Swift show. But again, I don't know how that would bring ticket prices down when the demand is so fucking high. And I've seen a lot of the price increases blamed on secondary ticket markets like StubHub and SeatGeek, which has appeared to draw speculators to the market who often try to buy tickets at launch when they're at their launch prices, hoping to upsell them on secondary markets like SeatGeek and StubHub. Ticketmaster has been accused of trying to get in on this. Ticketmaster has been accused with colluding with second markets and trying to game second markets. And even if such accusations are true, I am not sure how forcing Live Nation to sell Ticketmaster or forcing Live Nation to deal with third-party distributors would magically solve this problem. But then again, I don't think it's about solving problems in whatever is left of the free market, especially when you have people like AOC who are fundamentally opposed to the free market. I think a lot of politicians, a major reason, both left and right, politicians both left and right, Democrat and Republican, I think including a lot of people who claim to be in favor of capitalism, pretenders of capitalism, I think a major reason why a lot of these politicians love antitrust is because, as I mentioned earlier, whether prices are too low, whether prices are too high, or whether prices are the same across the market, antitrust gives these wannabe economic planners a blank check to go after businesses and corporations they do not like. Antitrust gives these politicians a blank check to violate your private property rights. Doesn't that sound wonderful, folks?
No, of course not.